Alrighty, what's going on, guys and girls, and welcome back to my video. So, as promised in my other tutorial, whenever I was installing this, I said I was going to do a programming video in case anybody has any questions about these smart sirens in general, because there's literally little to none information or any video tutorials or anything like that on the internet that provides assistance in programming these bad boys. So my model is a Federal Signal SSP3000B smart siren, and I would say that it's pretty generic for most of Federal Signal's, for when it comes down to their programming stuff. I would say it's about the same for probably a lot of these models. Um, it took me a little while to get used to. I played around with it as of every other male. You know, you try to stay away from reading the tutorial of anything, but I actually ended up having to read the tutorial on my laptop on the programming thing, and I finally got what I needed. So regardless, I'm going to leave a couple links in the description to Federal Signal's website that shows you of what you need, what your model is. You'll select the model, and it'll give you the program to install and everything like that. If you go to the link that I provided in the description, you know, it's a safe link. If your computer flags it for some reason, I don't know what to tell you. It's because my McAfee did not. So real quick, I'm using a Windows 10, and it took me a while to figure out how to get Windows 10 to run this, but I'm going to show you guys how you properly do that in case you were having the same issue I was having with the computer reading the control. Because this works for me does not mean it's going to work for you. This is just a suggested way of how I figured out how it works for mine. So I had to buy a Ethernet to USB cable. This is what this is. This is not the original Cat 5 cable or whatever this is. I think it's just a regular Ethernet cord as well that plugs into the controller. I bought this on Amazon for like $3. Following the USB to Ethernet, it was pretty cheap. So here is how I'm going to get this to my computer. So we are going to turn it on. We're going to hold down the program button, and you hold that down until it starts flashing, and this is button number 6. So then you're going to hit button number 13, and then that'll start flashing like that. So now what you want to do is take your Ethernet cable and plug it into the side of your computer, into the model. Sorry I dropped you guys. I'm using a chest mount. So I plugged it in, and then on the thing right here, it'll start to read. It'll read the control head. So now I'm going to jump to the recording program on my computer. Alrighty, guys and girls. So as you can see, this is what the control program looks like for the SSP3000B. So as you see here at the top right, it says where it connected. And sometimes once you do the steps that I provided you with, you have to give it maybe like 10 or 15 seconds, especially if you've never programmed it from your computer to your model before. So this just kind of shows you the options of a default one. It shows you what you can do, whatnot, what's programmable and what's not. But I'm going to come up here to System Options, and you can load a default configuration that Federal Signal provides you with. You can load a blank configuration, and you can also read the siren. And as you hear, it just beeped at me in the back. So, and it's saying that, okay, we are indeed reading this. So you hit OK on that, and now this is reading what I have programmed in here. And I'm going to show you what my program is, and maybe if you relate to it, then if this helps you, then by all means, that's awesome. So we'll start with our slide 1, 2, and 3 switches. So I have, in the brains of this model, it has connected different relay options. What that relay options is, once you turn the power on, so say if I have I want my back and side lights connected to relay 1. So when I hit slide switch 1 here, I'm going to go to relay, and then I would look at which collar it was that I wired it to. There's a bunch of different collars. There's at least 10 of them here. And then I would see that I wired it to maybe relay 1, which is blue. And then you look at the manual and you see, okay, which relay is blue and whatnot. So say if it was number 7, then I would hit number 7. But in this case scenario, it was 1 and 2 for me. So I have relay 1 and 2 active. And so we'll select relay 1. And then when you select relay 1, because my LEDs, I don't run any like gun locks or anything like that, because this is what this is. These are outfitted for legit law enforcement vehicles, so you have so many different options you can configure your buttons here for. But for me, I'm just going to hit steady on, active high, and open off. And that allows power to transmit from the controller, from my selection of what I want to do, to the brains, and the brains provide the power to my LED lights, which make everything go blink, blink, blink. So, and that's the same for slide switch 1, 2, and 3. With that being said, I do not have an actual light bar that's wired to my Siren, because I just don't run a light bar. I don't see no point in it. I like my visor lights. They're a lot more, I think they look a lot more professional, especially for a volunteer firefighter standpoint. But these are the types of light bars that this program will read, and that looks pretty acceptable to the program. I think you can, I don't know why you couldn't run whatever you wanted to, but I don't know much about light bars, so, but with that being said, excuse me, so we're going to get to our Siren option now. So I have buttons programmed from 8 all the way to 13. And you have a couple different Siren options here. So my button number 8 is my manual coast down I have. My button number 9 is whale. 10 should be yelp. 11 is the Unitrol Ultra High-Low. 12 is a priority. Now we'll talk about the priority button real quick. So the priority button I have on a momentary switch. All these others I have on exclusives. So whenever I press my priority, which is just like a phaser priority, it only activates the priority for however long I have it on that button for. So instead of it being a constant sound, it'll stay on until I release my finger off of it. So if I have it on the Yelp and I click on my priority button, I'll just if I want to take my fingers off of it, I'll it'll go back to the Yelp without me having to hit the Yelp. So that's kind of cool. And then button number 13 is the air horn. So I was looking at this a little bit ago before I did a video on this, because I wanted to re-ensure that I knew what I was talking about, but obviously, as usual, that obviously didn't work out too well for me. So, I don't understand some of this, I'm not going to lie. So, my manual coast down, I don't have to have the slide switch active in order for it to work, but all my other ones, except for my air horn, that is the case. I don't know if that's something that's already manually programmed and nothing that you can really change into that, but, that's just how this is. So I thought that it was programmable to where if you want slide switch 3 to activate a certain siren or anything like that, and that's how that would work. So for you guys who are real geeks in the wiring and whatnot, you have the horn ring transfer, so you can press your horn and it automatically changes tones for you. I don't do anything like that because that's way too much wiring for me, and I don't know much into that. So with the other things that is programmable though, so you have your rear light bar options, so like your back visor lights, the directional arrows and whatnot. So I have mine programmed to do absolutely nothing because I have no programmable bars in the back. Now I'm thinking of ways, I've been thinking outside the box of how I can program my 2 bars together. But that involves, I'm sure that's probably going to involve some diodes and whatnot, because I have everything connected, and I don't know if that's something I really want to get into. With that being said, though, I'm sure if you've seen in my videos so far of me driving to the station, my little GoPro in my head, once my the little lights right here, top of the cage, they alternate back and forth. Now that does not mean anything in particular. If I had a light bar up top or maybe an actual visor light bar in the back, that would show the pattern it would be going in. But for mine, I just set them on different patterns, and I did that by, I believe, so like my slide switch 1 with the, it's the Signal Master. So you have 4 different options. I just left mine on the 2, and then 4, and then 3 for 3. But you can also you can also have like a left arrow option, right arrow, center arrow, and it's also programmable within, I think you have 4 different options you can choose from. So if you click it once, and it'll go from right to left, maybe left to right, center, back and forth. It does so much different stuff. So that's pretty much the basic of this. My how do I change my light patterns? That's pretty much all up to me and me actually connecting a hot or ground to my lights themselves in order to change the pattern. I can't do anything on here because they're already programmed LEDs. They already have the electronic components to the lights themselves because they're pretty much Amazon brand, whatnot. I've been looking at different stuff. I'm not looking to spend a lot of money on stuff right now. I kind of said that this is kind of going to be the last thing I do, but if I do end up changing anything out, it's definitely going to be a back bar, a better back bar, hopefully a red and amber, but that's still possibly a ways away. So I'm actually looking to get the rest of the face plates so I can get the inside of the center console completely done because it's still wide open, and getting a mounting bracket for this controller itself. But past that, so I don't have any of these buttons right here programmed. These 2 do absolutely nothing. These 2 just activate them little lights up top, and so the only thing I have programmed is basically the sirens and the slide switch lights. But you have like I said, a couple different siren options. It's pretty. It's pretty cool. This is more of I think a LAPD type deal. So I have the LAPD Wailed, Yelp, and then I love the Unitrol Ultra High Low. But you also have like a Unitrol Hetero. I didn't like the Futura either. I didn't like the High Low. So, you can program this however you want to. Just because this is how I did it does not mean this is how you need to do it. What I can recommend to you is that you play around with it and you configure it to how you want it set up. And I know it kind of sucks that I wasn't able to show you, like, okay, well, because I'm sure most of you guys, if you get one of these, you're going to have a light bar and you actually wanted to see it configured and set up. But it looks pretty self-explanatory, honestly. So, you would obviously choose your light bar, and then if you wanted this button to activate, a steady burn, or maybe your takedowns or anything like that, you can just do that, and there's a lot of it's trial and error as well, and it doesn't take long to disconnect this and reconnect it. It really doesn't. So just play around with it and just see what happens. And you can always comment down below, and I'll try to help you. Doesn't mean I'll be able to help you, but I will try my hardest. And there's also a little manual to this as well. It has a decent amount of information. The information regarding connecting it from the PC to the actual from the control head to the PC itself is not the best, and that's why I really wanted to make a YouTube video about this, because it took me a long time to figure out how to get that connected. So whenever you are done with this, though, however, it is important that you go back and you go to the communication, and you hit program control pad. So once you hit program control pad, it'll beep at you twice, and it'll update it, and that's how you know it is complete. So then it'll pop up here, and then it'll pop up over here that it was programmed on this date, this time. So then you're good to disconnect it. You cycle power back through on your control head, and then you are good to go. So I'm going to show you guys what I was talking about real quick about the momentary switch. So whenever I personally go to disconnect this from whenever I have it on my computer, all I do is just unplug it from the side, and it'll stay in programming mode, or whatever this means, for the longest time until you actually go to do something about it. So what it's recommended is that you, what's called a cycling power, you disconnect the back pad from the wiring harness and you plug it back in, and that's what it is called, cycling power. But I have a kill switch on the side of it that I actually use to power it up in general. So then it pops up. So whenever I do my slide 1, like I said, this means absolutely nothing. It's just there to flash. And I'll talk about the beeping every 10 seconds here in a second too. But so that does my rear and side lights. And then I'll just activate the 3. It does everything else. So with my priority button though, I'll show you what I mean by that, because I actually kind of have 2 priorities. This is just the ultra high-low, and this is the one of the momentary switch. So whenever I press this, and then I press that and let off of that, it'll go back to this. So I'll show you what I mean by that. So just kind of something to get like a little more attention if you're coming up on somebody pretty fast, or if you're clearing an intersection or anything like that. And then you can so it's pretty handy. I like it. But past that, I memean, like I said, these buttons are pretty well useless to me. They just kind of do their own little thing. And so the little beeping sound that you hear every few seconds, so that beeping indicates that there is a button that is being pressed, a light is on, or something is active somewhere. So to turn that on and off, I'll show you. So you need to cycle power. You're going to hold down the program button. So you hit that, let that come on. So this second to right LED is on, and that indicates that beeping is on. What you need to do is hit button number 14 right here, and that turns it off. To activate it, however, you hit the button, and if that's lit up, then that means it's activated. To save this, you need to hit button number 13. So it'll beep at you, and then if you it'll clear on its own here in a second. I don't know why that does that, but I always cycle power again. I don't think it really matters because it clears off on its own in like 30 seconds, but then it's good to go. So that's how I have my smart controller set up. I love this thing, I really do. Whoever I bought this off of, I think it was like a private security company or something like that. They had a gun lock cabinet here and whatnot. So then you can press that, and then it'll be active, but then it goes off. So it'll read power, and then it'll put power to whatever you're doing, which would have been the gun lock cabinet, and then it goes off on its own. So I mean, there's so much different stuff you can do with this. It's so cool. But if you guys have any questions or anything like that, please feel free to let me know. Like I said, I'll try to answer them to my best ability. And if you guys know anyone who is selling any form of like faceplates or stuff like this for center consoles, also do let me know as well, because I'm at a standstill of trying to find faceplates, and I don't really know where to look, because I thought the place that would have them, would for a decent price, but I'm not looking to pay like, $200 for like a piece of metal. I don't know, yeah, I guess it's metal. So if you guys know anyone like that, let me know. Hope you guys have a Merry Christmas if I don't talk to you before then. Please be safe, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
Yeah, cause I got it like that. Flow so smooth like I got it on tap. Yeah, and I'ma say it be a good night while I'm on my Yingling, while I'm drinking Bud Light. Can you get it when you miss me? Like I'm with whiskey, drinking Jim Beam. Yeah, baby, do you do it that way? Do you do that? Do you take a ray? Yeah, you know that I'm a beast when I kill it on the beach. Like it's sex on the beach, like it's Malibu. Take it to the California way, cause we do it, yeah, baby, we can Californicate like we on